So our Chief Executive Officer, CHRP Margaret, who's here with us today. Our regulators, that is IHRM, KNQA, TVETA, industry players, that is FKE, and the Ministry of Labor, also our mother ministry, the Ministry of Public Service and Human Capital, the training institutions, all HRs who have found time to come for this public validation, and the students, our students, good morning. Good morning once again. Thank you so much for joining this public validation exercise and for recognition of prior learning. And just to give you histories that RPL has been, we have been bringing on RPL for a very long time, and we've had discussions about recognition of prior learning. We started our public participation on 2nd April 2025, where we had over 100 people join us, the industry players and fellows of IHRM and regulators. And we discussed a lot about RPL, and they had views which they gave us. We then went on to have another stakeholder meeting. This time round, it was with training institutions, students, and the industry players, the HRs, the HR directors and assistant directors, and we had another over 100 joining. And also on 24th April, we also had another stakeholder meeting with also the students, the training institutions, and the people in HR. Lastly, we had one in our organization, that is Mwalimu Towers, the focus group discussion on 9th May 2025, where we discussed a lot about RPL, and the stakeholders gave us their concerns, they gave us their views and their public views, and that's why we are here today. We are here today to do the public validation exercise. So it's not, the views already came in, and we have incorporated some, and some we have not, and we will explain why. So today's meeting is for just validating that your concerns, the concerns you raised, have been incorporated. So for recognition of prior learning, as we've said, it is a pathway to the ones who want to do CHRP, and this is recognizing the knowledge, the attitude, and the skills that one has, and ensuring that we assess those skills and know whether someone is competent in a given area. So that is the whole point about RPL. So mmekaribishwa sana, and as you can see, we have posted the program, and we will start by an opening prayer from a volunteer. Then from there, we'll have introductions, we'll have the CEO's remarks, then we will have presentation of the stakeholders' views and how we incorporated them, then plenary session, then we'll have a closing prayer. Asanteni sana. So we will have an opening prayer, probably from a stakeholder. Kindly, anyone who can volunteer, anyone close to God right now to volunteer, tashukuru.
Let us pray. Okay, thank you. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Rebecca Miner from JKUAT. Let us pray. Everlasting Father, we come in your presence this morning with thanksgiving in our hearts because you've given us the opportunity to be here. We acknowledge your presence. We acknowledge that you have enabled us to come this far. in this exercise that is before us. We thank you for all the stakeholders present. We thank you, Lord, even for the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that you have granted unto us to have this documentation, to be able to help us to be more effective in our respective capacities. We thank you. We covet your presence. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Daktari, for the powerful prayer. And we'll just go straight into the introductions. So for our stakeholders, you keep on introducing yourself on the chat. I have seen a couple of you who have introduced themselves. Karibuni sana. And for the staff, the Secretariat of HRM-PEB, you can unmute your mics and introduce yourselves. I'll start by myself. My name is Lorena Seka. I'm the Communications Officer, and I'll be your moderator today. So karibuni sana, and I hope that we will have a very good session. So any of the other secretariats, kindly, you can also unmute your mic and introduce yourselves.
Good morning.
Thank
all.
you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Lorraine. Sorry. Abednego Guchalo here, the Manager Exam Administration. Thank you.
Asante, Manager. Next.
Good morning, all. My
Good
name is
morning.
Dr. Leonard Kirago, the Principal Examination Administration Officer.
Asante, Daktari. Do we have any other people in the room? Okay, wacha niendelee. Thank you so much, the Secretariat. And I was trying to reach out to the CEO to see whether she had connection problems. So as she comes on, any of our regulators here, kindly, Ken, QA, IHRM, any of our regulators, you can come on, because I knew Mr. Maindi, I think he was joining, and he had requested to speak. So if he comes on also, we will be able to introduce them as they come in. So as I've said, just to give an overview of RPL, the recognition of prior learning is a pathway to the CHRP program, and it's a pathway that recognizes the skills, the knowledge, and the attitude of someone. So it will be a very vigorous process for anyone to be able to be examined under RPL. And as I've also said, we had three, when we started the RPL process, we came up with 3 tools, which we gave our stakeholders. That is the RPL policy, the guideline, the implementation guideline. Then the last tool was the practitioner's manual. And we shared the 3 documents with everyone. And also we shared the documents with the stakeholders on our website. So if you've not been able to go through those documents, they are still there on our website. You can go through them. Then you can be able to see everything we are talking about RPL. So RPL, as you know, also it is an agenda of the government, and this is something that has gone countrywide, and right now most polytechnics and other examining bodies are embracing RPL. So karibuni sana, and I don't know whether our CEO has now gotten network. If not, Daktari, you'll take on and present. She will come and give her remarks at the end. So, Daktari?
Yeah, good morning all. And welcome to this session. And I want to take you through just a moment. Yeah, I hope you can see now my screen. Lauren, can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Yes, we can see.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Dr. Leonard Kirago. I'm the Principal Examination Administration Officer. And today we are here for the validation meeting. As you are aware, we have held 3 meetings on the recognition of prior learning. The first meeting was held on 2nd April 2025, and it had 100 participants, which were composed of industry players, fellows of IHRM, and our regulators, that is KNQA, Directorate of RPL, and the Institute of TVET. Then we held another meeting on 24th April, and it had 200 participants. Then finally, we had a meeting on 9th May 2025 in our offices at Mwalimu Towers, Upper Hill, and 50 people attended. And from these 3 meetings, we came up with the issues that the stakeholders raised, and that is what I want to present as at now. Number 1, there was a concern on whether CHRP finalists will be recognized by the Institute of Human Resource Management, or IHRM. And the issue is that RPL is just a pathway like the normal academic or the normal coursework CHRP, and therefore those who get the RPL through the pathway of RPL will be recognized. In fact, there will be no difference between someone who has taken the CHRP in the formal way or the academic way and those who have done RPL. Then the other issue was whether those with exemptions are eligible for RPL. Maybe probably the person who was asking this question was asking those who had registered with the HRMPEB had obtained some exemptions that they were not able to go to class for 1 or 2 reasons. And the answer to this is that RPL does not discriminate. There is equitable access. There is equitable access to RPL, meaning that those who had registered for the course, for the coursework CHRP, are still eligible for the RPL. Then the mode of assessment, somebody had asked whether it will be physical or virtual, and the mode of assessment shall be physical. and we shall be conducting RPL from our offices at Mwalimu Towers, Upper Hill. Then there is the issue of currency in academic certificates and whether academic certificates obtained or which are 5 years old can still be recognized. And the answer is that currency does not apply in academic certificates. Currency only applies to work-based evidence that when you are presenting your documents for RPL, academic certificate, even if you got them 5, 15, 20 years ago, we will still recognize them. But the work-based evidence must be current. Issue number 5, continuing students. Can continuing students opt for RPL? And the answer is those who have started the ordinary CHRP can still switch to RPL because there is no discrimination. Then there was the fear about transparency and bias in assessment. And this one is addressed. In clause 4.5, which says 4.5 of the implementation guideline, which is available in our website, which says that RPL verifiers shall validate the assessment results in an open, transparent manner, meaning that RPL, there is a lot of transparency, and further, there will be no biasness. It is very objective. Soon and very soon, I'm going to demonstrate the tool that we'll be using, to assess RPL. It is a very transparent and free from biasness tool. The other issue was item 8, eligibility and entry qualification of RPL applicants. Now with this one, as I present the tool that we are going to use, then you will see the eligibility.
Daktari, kindly, there's someone
Yes.
speaking. There's someone speaking. You can unmute him. Then kindly you can admit, you can just take 2 minutes to admit the people who are saying they can't join.
Yeah, I'm admitting them as the meeting progresses.
You can,
I think so far so good. I don't know whether CEO has joined.
Yes,
CEO?
you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Oh, we can go ahead. Yes, okay. Thank you, Lauren. The other issue was the criteria for selecting institutions to conduct assessment and training. This one is addressed under the implementation of guideline, clause 2.7, page 14, which this document is available in our website. And this one stipulates that registered assessment centers shall provide opportunity for skill gap training.
Please go to number 8. You jumped to number 8, guideline.
Very good. Sorry for that. I talked about the eligibility and entry qualification of RPL applicants. And this one is addressed under clause 1.3 of the RPL policy, again, which is available in our policy, which affirms that all individuals are eligible for recognition of knowledge, skills, and competencies acquired through informal or non-traditional learning pathway. And further, I said that we are going to look at this eligibility criteria once I project on the tool that we are going to use to guide us in RPL, which we are going to look at immediately after this matrix. Then number 9, I had talked about the institutions that will be involved in conducting assessment and training. one is addressed in page 2.7, or rather clause 2.7, page 14 of the implementation guideline that is already in our website. And the training institutions will provide opportunities for skill gap training. Skill gap training is where the candidate who is seeking RPL, criteria number one, we will be looking at your academic certificates to see whether you can you qualify for those areas. Then after that, we'll consider your portfolio of evidence, that is work-based evidence. But then if there is a gap that cannot be filled by the academic certificates and your experience, then we will refer you to training institutions for skill gap training. Then the integrity, validity, and credibility of the evidence. This one is addressed at clause 1.9.1 of the policy that says that HRMP management shall ensure fairness, transparency, respect, integrity, and objectivity in the assessment process for RPL participants. Probably, again, as I project that tool, you are going to see yourself that RPL will be conducted in a very transparent way. It has also a lot of objectivity. Then the other item was on metrics for evaluating the effectiveness of RPL implementation. And here, monitoring and evaluations has been addressed under implementation guideline, clause 3.4.1.4.1 on regular reviews and audits of evaluating effectiveness, meaning that there will be regular monitoring and evaluation of the RPL to see whether it is conducted in a transparent and a fair manner. Then item 12, RPL leading to full CHRP qualification. The person who asked this question was asking whether RPL can lead to full CHRPK qualification. And the answer is, with RPL, it can still lead to CHRPK qualification, because we are saying that RPL is only a pathway. It is just a pathway. And this one is anchored in the implementation guideline and a full qualification certificate under clause 7.10.1.1 of the implementation guideline, again, which is available in our website. Then there was concern number 13, change the name of units to functional areas. Now what we have done, we have identified 8 functional areas. But then what we have again done, we have mapped out the 19 units into these 8 functional areas. And again, as I share the document on how we are going to conduct it, the data collection tool for RPL, we are going to demonstrate how these 8 functional areas have been identified and how the 19 units have been mapped into these functional areas. Then the assessor's qualifications. The assessor's qualification has been addressed in RPL implementation guidelines, clause 5.3.2.10.3. And this one says that number one, for those people who are assessing RPL, must be in good standing with IHRM. Actually, they should be fellows of IHRM. Number 2, they must have pursued CHRP. Then number 3, they should have at least one level above the level of RPL offered, meaning that CHRP is equated by KNQA as level 7, which is equivalent to a degree, bachelor's degree. So the person who is assessing should have at least a master's. Then there was concern with the persons with the disabilities, and persons with the disabilities can also pursue CHRP through the pathway of RPL. and their concerns will be addressed in the existing HR and PEB examination policies, where it is anchored at the examination policy clause 10.0, which states that applicants with special needs should notify HR and PEB at least 2 months before the RPL assessment to allow for adequate preparation in order to accommodate them. Then a fee structure for RPL. As we proceed with our discussion today, we are going to look at the fees that the board approved. And then levels RPL is offered. RPL is offered, will initially be offered at the CHRP level. However, the board of directors proposed that once we roll out RPL for CHRP, then later on RPL for diploma and certificate course can be rolled out later. Then where will assessors come from? Somebody had asked where will assessors come from, and assessors will come from the industry. That is someone who is already practicing, as a HR. Clause 5.3.3. Kindly mute your mic if you are not talking. Clause 5.3.3 of our implementation guideline addresses this and states the number of qualifications required of the person who is to be onboarded to be an assessor, but then it must be a practicing HR, or rather the assessors under the RPL implementation guideline, the assessors will have at least 3 people. Number one, an industry expert. That is someone who is practicing as a HR. Then you have an RPL practitioners from the Directorate of RPL. Then we also have HR trainers. These are people who have interacted with our curriculum. Then remember, from assessment, we also move to verification, and the panel that will be verifying, which will be the Directorate of ITVET will be incorporated, and KNQA, Kenya National Qualification Authority. Those 3 bodies
Have we lost the presenter?
Sorry, the presenter had an issue, but we are sorting. Ametoka kwa meeting by mistake. I think ilikuwa ni network. In the next 3 minutes atakuwa naingia. I hope you've been following on the presentation, but anakuja kumaliza. Thank you so much. Dr. Kiragu, I can see you are back.
Yes, I'm back. And sorry for that interruption. I think it is network issues. We were on point number 18, where assessors will come from. And I've really explained where the assessors will come from. And I've also clearly elaborated that we'll have 2 levels of assessment. Number 1 is assessors. And our implementation guidelines stipulate the panel where the assessors will be drawn from. Then from the assessors, it will go for verification. And I've also taken time to explain how, the panel of the verifiers, how it will be composed. Then item 19 is the managing the perceptions and the paradigm shift about RPL implementation. And this is what addressed under the RPL implementation guideline, clause 5.1, which addresses awareness and publicity measures to ensure stakeholders understand that RPL is a credible pathway to the CHRP certification, offering equal recognition, certification, and gazettement as the traditional exam route. This one is in clause 5.1 on RPL implementation guideline. Then item 20, observation is a method of assessment whether it is adequate, and this is incorporated in under RPL implementation guideline, clause 7.17, which talks about observation in real work life conditions. Observation is one of the methods of assessment of RPL, just one of the methods. We said that the main method of RPL will be portfolio of evidence, and this portfolio of evidence include number 1, the academic certificate. Then from academic certificate, we will go to tangible work evidence, and I'll explain the evidence may be either direct or indirect, and I'll explain later what it means. Then from there, if the assessors and the verifiers are not satisfied, then they can now go to other methods of evaluation, and observation is one of the methods. Then number 21, balance between quantity and quality. There was someone who wanted to know how we balance between quantity and quality, and this one is incorporated in Appendix 11, the guide for collecting evidence, which I'm going to project after this presentation. And RPL is a credible pathway, as I'm going to demonstrate. And in this guideline for collecting evidence, you'll see how we will be conducting the RPL, that guide for collecting evidence, the performance criteria, the critical aspect of competency, and the weighting matrix. Very, very objective, very, very transparent. Number 22, managing integrity in the RPL process. HRMPEB will ensure integrity in the RPL process, and that is why we have taken a lot of time to develop the data collection tool, or the portfolio of evidence collection tool. It has even stipulated what you are expected to present, and also the method of evaluation that will be used. Then the number 23, constitution of assessment panel. And this one I had explained that the panel of assessors will be drawn from IHRM fellows who are practicing as HRs. It will also be drawn from those who have interacted with our curriculum, that is the tutors. Then number 3, from the RPL experts, that is from the Directorate of RPL. Then or rather item 24, clarity on RPL curriculum. And somebody wanted to ask, or somebody was asking, which curriculum we are going to use for RPL. Now, RPL is just a pathway. So we are using the existing curriculum, the existing CHRP curriculum to evaluate. So RPL is just a method of evaluation. So we don't have a set of another curriculum for RPL and another curriculum for the normal or the ordinary CHRP. Then item 25 was on appeal process, how you can appeal. And this one is addressed under clause 6.0 on the implementation guideline, where the candidate not satisfied with the result of RPL processes may launch an appeal using form Annex 6, which is in our website. Then the portfolio of evidence correction criteria, how we are going to go about it. And this one will be guided by the guide for collecting evidence, which I'm going to project later on. Those were some of the issues. And probably the next step, somebody may ask about the next step. And from here, now this is the validation meeting, which we have held today. The next thing that we are going to do is to recruit and capacity build the RPL practitioners, that is the assessors and the verifiers. Then after that, we are going to launch the RPL the same day that we'll be releasing our results. Then from there, we are going to pilot for RPL or around 22nd September. And thereafter, we are going now to admit the candidates for RPL. And then we'll look at the monitoring and evaluation will be done on a continuous basis. Then now I want to present the last document. Then I hand over the program to CS Lorena Seka, who will take us to the plenary session. So let me project document, which is this one. Very good, very good. Hi, this is the application form and the guide. This when you come for RPL, this is the document that we are going to issue you, and it will guide you on what is expected of you. And I'll go in a very summary. As you can see, it is quite a detailed document with 169 pages. But I'm going only to project around 15 pages in very fast because of time. I'm going to summarize what is contained in this document. Number one, it talks about the application process. And it says that applying for RPL, collecting evidence and preparing your application may take considerable time and effort. Please ensure that you address all requirements and review the submission checklist prior to submitting your RPL evidence. Then candidates deemed eligible to undertake an RPL pathway assessment will be required to complete this RPL application form and guide and submit supporting evidence to demonstrate their skills and knowledge. As we had pointed out earlier, RPL is designed for HR practitioners who already have foundational knowledge in the following HR competencies or functional areas. As I had explained, we identified 8, or the board identified 8 functional areas. Then what we did was we mapped out the 19 units of the CHRP in these 8 functional areas. Like, for example, the first one, functional area is strategic and business acumen. And the units under these are strategic management for HR practitioners. We have organizational development and transformation. We have human resource accounting, metrics and analytics. And we have human resource consultancy and advisory. Then number 2, number 3, number 4, all the units have been covered. Then the RPL steps. Number 1, the candidate is supposed to apply for eligibility check. The candidate is supposed to apply for eligibility check. An eligibility check will assist in preliminary assessment of previous experience against the relevant skills and knowledge requirements of the RPL assessment. RPL candidates are expected to have credentials at KNQA level 7 or equivalent so as to be able to navigate the complex workplace scenarios. The applicants should have a minimum of 15 years of continuous human resource management experience, 5 of which must be in a managerial role and either a diploma in human resource management or equivalent from a recognized examining body, a bachelor's degree in human resource management or equivalent from a recognized university, or a higher national diploma in human resource management or equivalent, a postgraduate qualification in human resource management or equivalent qualification as determined by KNQA. Now, in this admission criteria, what we did is, normally when you are we are admitting the ordinary CHRP, number one, you must have a C+. And if you scored less than a C+, then you should have a diploma in human resource management or a diploma in a business-related course. That is the same criteria that we are using. Then number two, you can also have a bachelor's degree in human resource or equivalent. This one is, we borrowed from the normal entry requirements of CHRP. Then you should also submit your current CV if you are a candidate of RPL that demonstrate your 15 years generalist HR experience. And then you also submit your relevant academic certificates and transcripts. Then after you submit your documents for eligibility check, you move on to step 2, eligibility confirmation. The RPL candidates who are confirmed as being eligible will receive a confirmation letter and make payments for the RPL process as prescribed in the RPL assessment fee structure. Then after that, you submit your RPL application and portfolio of evidence, now which will be evaluated in 2 steps. We have said it will go through assessors and the verifiers. And then after that, step 4, you receive an RPL outcome. If you're not satisfied, you can now go to step 5, where you do the appeal. I'm almost done with the presentation. In 5 minutes, I'll be done. This is the application form where you are supposed to fill your details. Then your academic qualifications starting from the highest. Then your work experience from the recent. Then you should have professional referees who should be members of IHRM, at least 2 of them. Then from there, this form guides you on how to collect your workplace evidence. And there will be confidentiality, that the documents that you submit to us will be handled in confidential manner. However, we advise that you obtain permission from your supervisor or from your organization to use the evidence, and that you check the privacy and confidentiality policies of your organization. If there is confidential information that you feel you should not submit to us, then you are advised to remove it. Then, again, you mark sensitive documents as confidential before you submit to us, and that you include a clause that they should not be photocopied or scanned. Then your supervisor or manager should, in the current organization you are working in, should fill these details. And then you now give us your work-based evidence. You give us your name, your position in the organization, your phone number, your email address, and your signature. Now, The workplace evidence, or rather what constitutes appropriate evidence, or which evidence are we looking at? Number one of the evidence that we are looking at is the certificate from formal qualifications to training, academic credentials. These include your diplomas, your bachelor's degree, your master's, your PhD degrees, and certificates and transcripts. We look at them. Then after that, the workshops, the conferences, and the trainings programs you have attended. Then after that, we look at your workplace documents, which include like your project or work activity reports, photographs, your logbook, your portfolio describing your work history, your industry or merit awards, your job descriptions, your job specification, your personal development plans, your performance appraisal, documents, etc. Now, this is what we are calling direct evidence. You can also have third-party evidence where your supervisor can give you a accommodation letter. Your supervisor can give you a accommodation letter saying that you can be able to undertake that task that you are seeking to be recognized. Then an item of evidence may be applicable to more than one learning outcome. Then I've talked about direct evidence and indirect evidence. Direct evidence is anything that you have either produced yourself or for which you have been primarily responsible. Then indirect evidence, these are the references that you have gotten from other people. Then you'll also be required to do a personal statement, which is written by you to support your claim for RPL. And now, as I wind up, I want to finish my presentation on looking at a sample of how you'll be filling your documents. Like this one is Unit 1, Human Resource Management. The form that this document is quite voluminous, but I'm only going now to project this, the next 2 pages, and then we'll be done because of time. This is Unit 1, Human Resource Management. We will look at the learning outcome as guided by the CHRP curriculum. Then we look at the performance criteria, your personal statement, then your evidence, direct or indirect evidence, then the suggested method of assessment. Like the first outcome is explain the concept of human resource management. The performance criteria is that HRM functions are clearly described in an organizational context. Then personal statement, you should explain how your workplace experience and evidence relate to these performance criteria. The performance criteria being the HRM functions. Then the evidence that we are supposed to provide is provide evidence of the functions of HR that you have been involved in executing in your organization. Acceptable evidence may include, but not limited to, trainings you have conducted, interview summaries, job descriptions you have developed, performance management reports you have generated, etc. Maybe then there is the issue of, or rather the next learning outcome in this first unit is regulatory and institutional framework for human resource management. This is guided by our curriculum. Then the performance criteria is relevant rules governing HR practice are identified and interpreted accurately. Institutional bodies in Kenya regulating HRM are trained with their respective rules and mandates. Then the code of conduct for HR professionals is explained based on current trends. Then here you are supposed to, in your personal statement, you explain how your workplace experience and evidence relate to this learning outcome. Then you provide evidence of how you have implemented the relevant laws governing HRM in your organization. Acceptable evidence may include, but not limited to, how you have handled employee disciplinary procedures as the code of conduct, compensation under WIBA, etc. Name, attach. Then you are supposed to name and attach the evidence. And the method of evaluation will be document review. Now, In conclusion, I will say this, that RPL is not a shortcut. Actually, it is very detailed. As you can see for yourself, this document is 169 pages. And this learning outcome we are borrowing from the that one, all this will qualify
Daktari, are you done? Dr. Kiragu? I think Dr. Kiragu has dropped out. I want to give an opportunity. First of all, I want to recognize the presence of the Institute of Human Resource Fellows, and specifically Mr. George Hapisu, who is the IHRM member of board of fellows. Also, I want to recognize our KNQA representative, our regulator, Dr. Wekesa, who is here, and I want him to give just some of a brief summary of some of the questions you've been putting out on the chat. Dr. Wekesa will be here to answer all of those questions. But before Dr. Wekesa comes on, Daktari, had you finished?
Yes, Aseka, I'm done, and over to you now.
Thank you so much. So, Dr. Peter Wekesa, you can unmute and just speak on RPL and answer some of the questions on the chat before I open the plenary session.
Yes, confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, you're loud and clear, Daktari.
Sorry, technology sometimes can be a serious issue. Some of us who go somewhere. Thank you so much, the HRM PEP, for the good work you're doing in this space. I know you have walked a long journey, and a lot has gone into the document. You have engaged various stakeholders. That is very commendable. And that is how a policy is prepared. I like always the quote that Mr. Stanley Maindi makes, that the process of developing a policy is very slow. That is, it grinds slowly, but fine. You know? Could you confirm if?
Oh, kindly, Daktari, you okay? Let us mute him.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Peter Wekesa. We have muted the person. You can go on.
Yes. Yeah. I know sometimes online meetings we can log in and we are in the kitchen. That's why sometimes we end up divulging some information that are irrelevant. Sorry for that. So I was saying that the journey that HRM PEP has walked is highly commendable, because you have involved key stakeholders in developing this policy, various input, various and divergent opinions from various sectors, agencies, and other organizations to align this document with the national framework. I want to commend you on that. And you see, in RPL is a new approach, a new pathway that because of limited awareness creation and capacity building, understanding vary. It really vary. But if you read widely, you'll get to understand how even the developed countries have embraced RPL, recognizing skill to be where they are. Not all of us went through academic pathway, but people have acquired skills. And we have people who have done research who confirms that while you are alive, there's what you call lifelong learning. You will continue to learn daily, even as a human resource professional. With your first certificate, you got employment. You have learned a lot at that level. If you are at level 7, you have learned a lot at level 7. And moderator, just allow me to cite a global benchmark on RPL, where specifically they have adopted human resource. That is a adoption of RPL by human resource management. If you look at Australia, Australia has an Australian qualification framework, just like Kenya. That is a whole continent. And here, the RPL is fully integrated into the national vocational and higher education system under the qualification, Australian qualification framework. So in Australia, we have Australian Human Resource Institute that allows professionals to attain certified practitioner status by RPL by submitting the detailed portfolios where competent practitioners assess. So that is a case study for Australia. And in Africa, we have the South Africa Board for People Practice. And yeah, just like what we have in Kenya. And under the South African Qualification Authority, SAGA, they have also established a 10-level qualification framework. Here, it integrates RPL as a formal pathway into which human resource certification and qualification is done. So you can also refer to Canada. In Canada, they have a Canadian Human Resource Certification pathway. That is, they also have a framework. Now, for them, in Canada, across all the provinces, they have a PLA, that is a prior learning assessment and recognition that also caters for certification through human resource pathway. And a well-established framework. I like New Zealand. If you can read New Zealand a lot, you'll see how they have even embraced micro-credential. And of course, the world is heading towards micro-credential, partial qualification, full qualification. And this is very commendable because in New Zealand, they have also established a New Zealand qualification framework. They have a New Zealand qualification authority, the way we have it in Kenya. And they're also now recognizing human resource professionals through RPL and so on and so on. You can perhaps at your own time compare world, globally, what are the best practices and so on and so on. So I was just trying to bring attention that what we are doing, what HRMF is doing is well aligned to both national policies or frameworks and international frameworks. We are moving, we're in 21st century. We must move align ourselves with the emerging trends and labor market requirements. So there are questions that have been asked that we should stick to perhaps partial qualification. You know, the policy framework that was developed in this country under the coordination of KNQA that was launched did not provide for just a micro or a partial, or rather, yeah, or for maybe for only skills up to lower level. But you can be assessed from level 1 to level 10. That's a PhD level. And if you keenly look at even at universities, though it's not documented that that is RPL, but they are embracing RPL approach. You do coursework, you do thesis and everything to earn a PhD. How do you become a professor? Which exams do you sit for to become a professor? Yeah. So we have to look at the Commission of University Education has come up with the guidelines. University senates have come up with the guidelines on how you should become a professor, associate professor. Their documentation record filed. You have to prove that yes, I have skills equivalent to a person at a professor level, that I have accumulated knowledge on assessing, or rather examining graduates or masters, PhD students. I've attracted funding to this institution. I've published books. I've presented in workshops, journals, in national conferences. I have led perhaps in various research activities, based depending on how that university has provided guidelines for you to become a professor. That is a portfolio of evidence. That's what we are talking about. You demonstrate accumulated skill. If well done, HRMP will be so beneficial, and its members will really benefit from this, because we have human resource managers at that level who have really acquired a lot of wealth of skills and competences and need to be assessed and be awarded the skill. And that's why regulators are on board here, just to ensure that the policy direction is well aligned with the regulatory requirements. I see TVETA, KNQ is here. We have the regulator in that human resource space. They are there just to ensure that we are not going outside the regulatory frameworks established, those legal framework. Then the output will be highly commendable. Of course, other space like national polytechnics, they are already assessing. They are assessing, you qualify for full qualification, you are given, you qualify for partial qualification, you are given. And we are trying to make it a watertight process to ensure that it's not just a walk-in, get a certificate and you walk away. The way some of us might be thinking that when you go to HRM, people are just going to use a backdoor and get a certificate to compromise the quality of HRM professionals. That will not be the case. As long as professional bodies exist, and they are there, they are involved in this process. They are involved in this process from the word go up to the end, that they are not just called, invited to observe, just to become like electoral observers. No, we are coming in to check the process from the onset up to the end of the output. That is the certificate, validity of everything. We will want to work with you. So allow me, even as I will respond to other questions to come, just to make a brief comment on the document. Yes, you have really explained so well, and how you captured even stakeholders feedback. But I want to remind you that our policy is a living document. You might think that now it is the best, it reads so well, but we will not fail to observe and perhaps flag out an area of improvement. What I already want to talk about, the way Tari was presenting, I had him mention that RPL assessment will be conducted at HRMP offices at Mwalimu Towers. Perhaps that will be a limitation because Kenya is vast. The human professionals are all over. We need to have the policy inclusive and takes care of people outside Nairobi, not just focusing Nairobi alone. Let's perhaps expand so that we can have even people in Kakuma, Mombasa, they can be assessed from those assessment centers, as long as the assessment centers have been duly accredited, and even people can be assessed at their own workplace. Yeah, we can have RP practitioners moving into this accredited workplace where people are working. And that's why we want to make RPL a bit flexible and of course affordable. Yeah, and then about continuing students, RPL focus on acquired skills. If I'm in my second year, can I drop and ask to be assessed? The question is, have I accumulated skills equivalent to that level I want to be assessed at? Am I going to be assessed at a lower level than what I was pursuing? It should not be that now, if, for example, let's use university, that I'm now in third year pursuing a human resource pathway at a degree level. Can I stop at that year and be assessed to get an equivalent of a degree? That's level 7. The answer is no and yes. Do you have skills? Have you covered 4th year? Because there are skills to be covered 4th year. After 4th year, we expect you to do what you are supposed to do. Then can you demonstrate that you can do? Now the question would be, how will you accumulate evidence to show that you have previously acquired these skills, yet you are in school? So here, it might be tricky that we should not comment that yes, continuing students can drop and come. They might fail. Why? Because they may fail to demonstrate the required industry skills, workplace competence. Perhaps those who have finished for the year and they can demonstrate the skills. Yes, we will look at their POE. Yes, here you served in this office. Not in attachment can be part of the POE, but really we will want to see what you have accumulated. The learning outcomes to be assessed might be an issue. So perhaps you can check so that that area is recasted to read well, other than perhaps it might cause a confusion. The other thing that I wanted to mention in the policy is that you can also consider to have an executive summary. The document is a bit voluminous, as you rightly put it. If you have an executive summary section, it will summarize. And some of these readers who are here, they are busy people. They'll want just look at the executive summary and then summarize. On abbreviation, I note that you did not even perhaps provide for KNQA, didn't provide for TVETA, and even KNQF. Yet they are used in the document throughout the policy. So consider that as it has been captured in the guidelines. You also gave a definition on the micro-credential. And I would wish that you also provide a definition on the partial qualification so that the potential candidates or stakeholders would understand what you're talking about when you talk about the partial qualification and how is it different from micro-credential and full qualification. You can make reference to the gazetted KNQF Regulation General 2025. Otherwise, if you look at the policy, it reads so well, and even chapter 1 presented very well, because that is very key. It is well aligned with the national policy, well benchmarked. But I would want you to perhaps think of how you can have some few improvement, especially on stakeholder engagement. There's a section that I would prefer you provide like a paragraph just on stakeholder engagement, because human resource is wide and people are just focused, were we involved? Yes, we are being involved here. In this process, we're involved, we are there. That's why we have, perhaps you'll share attendance register we sign so that it's somewhere in your document. But in the document itself, there's need to say perhaps the development of this policy involved consultation with the human resource professionals, employer, bodies, training institution, and regulatory authorities to ensure alignment with industry needs. So if that statement comes out clearly, someone will say, yes, proper consolidation were done, and perhaps our views were taken. Of course, you have done that. The views were taken. But then the question is, in the document, have we clearly brought out this section? And finally, moderator, it is that I like your chapter 3 in the policy, because that is my area of concern, and it comes clean. It's very clear, well organized, and aligned with the broader goals of RPL policy. And of course, each policy areas like regulatory framework, institutional structure, quality assurance, assessment and certification, sustainable financing, and collaborations are well presented. And of course, focus on linking RPL with KNQF level descriptors. This is what now gives the qualification through this pathway credibility. And of course, with the occupation standards and ensuring quality through all these agencies, highly commendable. Sorry for taking long. I want to submit at that point. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peter Wekesa. That is our regulator Kenya National Qualification Authority. Dr. Peter works with KNQA, and they will be the regulators. They are the regulators of our programs, the CHRP program. So he has just assured us that they'll be checking each and every step of RPL, and when we start having students, then they will regulate to see that we are keeping the standards and the professional qualification is within the standards. So asante sana Mr. Peter, and he has answered a couple of questions on the chat, and asante. So we want to move on to the plenary, and if you have any questions, kindly you can just raise up your hand. We'll give a couple of people time to raise up their hands, and you can give your questions on the validation. Then afterwards, we will give a way forward. So any questions? And also, I want to recognize the presence of TVETA. I've seen one of the TVETA staff here, and FKE. So TVETA, FKE, karibuni sana. They are our partners in, they are our regulators and also partners in ensuring that we adhere to the standards of the assessment. So TVETA, karibuni pia. We have Dr. Rebecca. You can unmute and speak, then Lynette.
Okay, good afternoon. Oh, still morning. Good morning. Thank you for the elaborate presentation. I'm very excited that this is coming to fruition. Mine is not a question, but just a comment. I think I've gone through the charts and I'm seeing a lot of reservations on the RPL, and people feel like it's a shortcut to getting qualifications. Now, I speak as wearing two hats. I'm a lecturer at JKUAT, and I'm also trained as a competency-based education trainer. So that means that I am having some background on competency-based education, which aligns very well with this RPL framework, because where we are moving with the curriculum, the competency-based curriculum, RPL will not be a good thing to have, but will be a must-have. For those who are still caught up in, those who have not fully synthesized the transition we are making in the education space, I think it's time to embrace where we are moving in terms of alignment to competency-based education, which RPL really sits in very well. And as Daktari has talked about the university, we have also embraced RPL to a certain extent. And we are aligning, we continue aligning our curriculum to industry standards. So mine was not a question, but just to allude to the fact that it is in line with the transition that we are having, even from the old curriculum to the new curriculum. Thank you.
Asante sana, Dr. Rebecca, for putting into perspective the competency-based. And as you've said, RPL, where RPL has reached, we are moving to that direction. And even the bodies, exam bodies, the universities, and all education sectors are embracing recognition of prior learning. It has been done outside the country, and Dr. Peter gave very good examples of what outside the country are doing. And even in Kenya, we are embracing it. And he said, for example, professor doesn't have to go to do any exams, but they get the professor title. So it's very key that we know that there's a change, and this change is coming, and we embrace it as people who know what change is. Lynette, kindly, you can unmute. I think, Lynette, you are a fellow of the Institute of Human Resource, so we recognize all fellows who are here. So Lynette, unmute and speak.
Thank you very much, Madam. I'm a fellow of the Institute, and I'm also the treasurer of the Board of Fellows. And I'm also a second-term member of the governing council of Sigalagala National Polytechnic. So, I've been in the thick of the competency-based training and its evolution. Now, I'm really, really happy to see that the informal sector, what we typically used to call the juakali or the informal sector, are being brought on board. I was part of the team that started the work, the initial work with the late Professor Ogola, who was at that time at TUK. We started this under the National Industrial Training Authority, and our intention was to include everybody who was all qualifications on the same platform. And we did a lot of work, and I'm glad Dr. Peter Wekesa and others have built on this, and we have reached this level. Now, I've sat through this presentation, and I have been part and parcel of all the presentations that you have made, the previous meetings, the stakeholder meetings, and I have seen the noise. I have seen the noise about, the doubts about the, bringing in people who are not competent. And today, the first presentation, has, if they have not seen the sense, then there's nothing we can do to help them. Mr. Wekesa, Dr. Wekesa has even explained it even better. We are here and we are watching very carefully, even though some of us may have been quiet all along. So thank you. And this is well articulated, well organized. I remember even the way CHRP started, some of us had to sacrifice to our competencies. At that time, CHRP had not even taken off. So Mr. Osero asked us, please, come on, you people set these exams, the first lot of exams. And nobody had CHRP at that time. And we used our competencies to set the exams, to moderate the exams with high standards that were set, and also to mark those same exams. And, and we are still here, we are still together. So thank you very much and well done, well done. Thank you.
Asante sana, fellow of the Institute, Madam Lynette Odondi, who actually, as she has said, she has walked the journey with us since we started this public participation in April, and helping us put into perspective what competency-based means, and just recognizing that there are people out here who have the skills, they have the knowledge, and they have the attitude. So just trying to make those who are in formal and formal learning know that the recognition of prior learning is something that is a change that has come on board, and it is embraced by many governments. So it's something that we are picking up from other bodies. So asante sana, fellow of the Institute, Madam Lynette, and definitely when we start, we will be able to communicate on the way forward. CHRP Den, you can unmute and speak.
Sorry, I don't know, moderator, could I mention something? I would want to exit to another meeting. If you're around, this is Wekesa.
Yes.
If you allow me just to make something, maybe in 2 minutes, then I exit.
No problem. No
Yeah,
problem. Dr.
just
Wekesa?
Yes, I wanted to say that this is a conversation that should continue. And we need to have a strategy so that we have a proper awareness creation to all HR professionals. We can organize regions so that you have the experts speak to. We listen to feedbacks so that perhaps what the cobwebs are also on cobwebs on RPL in that space is clearly aligned and people understand. Implementation will become a bit smoother, and of course that increased trust. So we can we might not conclude this here, but we can plan for capacity building forums. That's one. Then I want to mention that as we speak in the field of traditional medicine, you agree with me that there are regions far away from hospital facilities. If you look at places like Turkana, the vast Turkana, you look at Kwale, there are places we have snakes and other reptiles, but we have traditional medicine men and women who are really playing vital roles in perhaps treating completely without these people going to hospital. And Kenyatta University even has a department on a traditional study and so on. So for us as KNQA, because it's a policy, we are in partnership with the National Research Fund to help us as we conduct a sub-framework on how to build capacities and perhaps guide the training and certification bodies on how to certify indigenous knowledge in medicine, and how the existing mainstream can also work harmoniously and recognize those certificates. Of course, there are skills of these people in those rural areas. If you go to Kwale, for example, there's pythons known, and we have experts who are treating. It's known and documented and acceptable. So we have a serious conversation with the medical practitioners, the industry. We have regulatory agencies under the space of health. We are at an advanced stage in putting in place a framework to recognize and certify indigenous medical practitioners. So if we leave human resource professionals aside, a lot will happen, and you'll find yourself perhaps a bit asking yourself what is happening. If you look at the slaughterhouse, people in Karisa, the shoes you are wearing are made of leather. And these people who are slaughtering all these things, they don't have skills. But through Karisa University and the leather industries, we have put up in place a framework to certify skills of those people in the arid and semi-arid areas, so that they can also have certificates recognized and employed by the government that line. So for HRM or professionals, we need to embrace these pathways and have a discussion on even how to certify the lower levels for those people with lower skills, and the higher levels, even a degree. How do they be certified? How can they embrace micro credential, partial qualification, full qualification, depending on the how you display, how you demonstrate the learning outcomes at that level. Yeah, thank you so much, moderator, for the time, and everyone else. Please embrace RPL is the way to go.
Asante sana, Dr. Peter Wekesa. I hope you can stay just 5 minutes to answer 2 questions, but asante sana. And we appreciate your time and being our regulator. We don't take it lightly that you're in this meeting to just help us put into perspective the recognition of prior learning, and also just to help our stakeholders know that you are watching. You are our big brother on top and our regulator. So any steps that we will be undertaking, you will come in as regulators to look at how were people certified with the recognition of prior learning. Asante sana. CHRP then.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to contribute to this important conversation. My name is CHRP Den Peters Ngozo Labitu, Secretary General of Academy of Certified Human Resource Professionals. Today, I would like to express strong support for the adoption of the recognition of prior learning policy as developed by HRMPEP. The RPL framework is a powerful step toward creating a more inclusive and equitable credentialing system. It acknowledges the diverse pathways through which skills and competencies are acquired, whether formally, informally, or through workplace experiences. I have reviewed the proposed RPL policy implementation guidelines, and the practitioner's manual. And I believe these tools provide a clear, structured, and practical roadmap for implementation. They will not only help standardize assessments, but also empower professionals who have long operated outside formal certification processes. I therefore recommend moving forward with the policy adoption and beginning phased implementation, accompanied by sensitization efforts and capacity building sessions for practitioners. Let's take this opportunity to recognize learning in all its forms and open new doors for professional mobility and validation. To echo Dr. Wekeza's voice, in New Zealand, the HR Institute of New Zealand has a pathway to recognize prior learning for the HR professionals. Thank you all and God bless you.
Asante sana CHRP Den. And as you can see, that is our CHRP, and he's saying that RPL is the way to go. So
Moderator, can
thank
you
you,
allow me?
CHRP Den. Janice, then George.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm from the TVET Authority. I used to be a HR practitioner, but now I'm a quality assurance officer. I want to appreciate the effort that is being put, but I believe we are maybe coming from a point of RPL is just an alternative entry point, and it's basically a process of identifying the knowledge, skills, and attitudes people have, assessing and certifying. I've seen very hot comments on the wall. I don't want to mention, it looks like the dissenting voices are being ignored. Change is something that takes a while to embrace. And like I have read through the documents, it is not quacks coming to the field. Because clearly the document was saying for somebody to qualify as an applicant, they must have 15 years of general experience and 5 years of management. So that person cannot, that person cannot be a quack. RPL is implemented against approved curricula and approved occupational standards. It is against qualification levels as they exist in the qualification framework. But I was just wondering, when you're asking for 15 years, somebody who has fewer years than 15, that was my only concern. 15 years of practice could be on the higher side. We may consider maybe, I don't know where you put 15 years, but there is also the need for awareness creation, because RPL actually has 3 processes. The first one being awareness creation, the second one, the counseling, then assessment and certification. I believe there's nothing to worry about as long as the relevant professional bodies and the authority regulators are involved. It's if you look at the qualification framework, actually, ideally, everybody in Kenya needs to be certified, whether they have acquired their qualification through a formal pathway. But we appreciate there are people who are practicing and may not have gotten papers, but they can be assessed to get a diploma or a craft certificate, then progress in that pathway. But at the end of the day, I believe the assessment there will be a final assessment. The same paper a person who is sitting for level 7 qualification would sit is the same paper that a person who's going to do RPL is going to sit. And the certificate will not read RPL. It will just be a qualification. I like that you're starting on the right footing. You have clear tools for development, selecting. You have even given a clear document for students, the possible candidates to fill their role and what they have, how they have applied. There is a clear criteria for evaluation, management, collection and management of the portfolio of evidence. And at the end of the day, those who do not meet the threshold, there is room for skill gap. Let us give room for this new change. And I believe we give everybody a chance. Inclusivity and equity are values that we must embrace. Thank you.
Asante sana, Janice. And just to answer your question, you are a bit confusing the RPL journey and the transition, but the RPL, it is very specific that we said that in the RPL policy, that is clause 1.3, that all individuals are eligible for recognition of knowledge, skills, and competencies, and there is no numbers of years, as long as you will be given there'll be those the way they will be testing, and they will be testing on whether you have the knowledge, the skills, and the competencies. And this provision will enable all the candidates to obtain formal qualifications that reflect their existing capabilities, thereby promoting employability, social inclusion, and lifelong learning. So it is very key that we know the difference, but for the RPL, that pathway is very clear, and there will be assessors, there will be verifiers, and all other practitioners who will be who will be helping HRMPEB to ensure that these individuals that are being certified have the knowledge and they have the skills and competencies. And as Daktari has said, there will be very many ways of looking at it. There'll be very many ways of establishing that, from the written tests to oral tests to simulation exercises to portfolio of evidence. There are so many things that you have to go through for you to get that certification. It is not easy. And also, as Dr. Peter Wekesa has said, they as KNQA will be coming in to just look at the process and how HRMPEB have been able to certify students. George Hapisu, you can unmute and speak. Then Dr. Ooko, then Nathaniel. We are almost at the tail end, just the three. George?
Yeah, thank you, moderator, and thank you, colleagues. So my name is George Hapisu. I'm one of the first generation of HR leaders in the profession. I'm the the third chairman of the institute, and a lot of what you see today actually happened in my governing council. And today, when actually I look at what is going on in the profession, I look at it with a lot of joy and smiling, because this is exactly what we had envisioned as the founders of the institute, and also those who wanted to bring professionalism to the level which is very, very high. And I'm actually surprised that there's lots of, I've just looked at the chart and see some notes of skepticism at some people, but just to assure them that this change is in line with our vision as the founders of the Institute. And also, maybe just for purpose of introduction, also just to also inform you that I am one of the founders, and actually was the chair of the Institute when we were forming the College of Human Resource Management. So we've come from far with this. And we had also anticipated this change, and I like what HRPEB is doing, because you see at the level of the leadership, you set a vision. And once you set a vision, you said the vision was to separate the three institutes and make sure that each one is doing its job. And HRPEB is doing exactly what the founder members actually had anticipated to do, because we had much serious problem before the act, and you all know, where you had a secretary in a company in industrial area of a Mwindi company being converted to an HR person. You know, those things are no longer there at all. I think maybe as a suggestion to HRPEB, probably maybe as we look at this recognition of prior learning, maybe looking at or what the talent base for HR is, and trying to create more routes towards that same thing will be key. And why I'm saying that is because there are a group of people prior to the act coming in who had gone through a higher diploma. There are some who had not gone through that. There are some who probably came after that and they went through those diploma paths going forward. Yeah, I think probably also maybe as an input, maybe some of the people who probably want to do prior learning, maybe let's begin by them assessing for exemptions first on what we think they have done out, and then leave those fewer units for assessment. I think that's just something what I needed to add into that. I think it will be much easier process. It will give comfort also to some of the skepticism because I mean, surely, colleagues, these people who are fellows are not ordinary people. These are extraordinary people. And I can tell you, the bar for even a fellow who are the ones going to be used to this was set so high in IHRM those days up to now that it wasn't even easy to get this. And let me give you a story. Some of us became fellows after putting this act together. And even when we were chairman of the institute, we were still members. And we retired from there. Then that's why we were called back and say, hey, when you take a look at what you guys did, first of all, we changed the professional in terms of even the name. We were in the areas of personnel management. The change of profession of HR management to IHRM happened during my time. Those logos you see today was set in my council. Then the issues around the separation of these bodies happened during my time and finalized by Kasimu during that. And now, as that team, you can see, we were made fellows almost 3 to 4 years after we had left the institute. That's what a fellow is, or it should be, you know, somebody who is recognized for transforming the HR profession in a way that it's not debatable if that person comes in, whether they have CHRP or not. Okay. Yeah. So I think that was the point. And then secondly, I'm also very proud, and I'll pass this message to our chairman of the board of council members around, yes, using the fellows as part of the assessors. And we are quite excited about that. And we'll be very happy to input and support you into that. And we have very, very strong fellows by any standards in terms of what they have done in the profession, what they've done professionally, although some are retired, some are still practicing, like myself, I'm still practicing, and it will be quite interesting to see the journey. Those are the only comments I need to make, and just to give comfort to the ones who are a bit seeing skeptic that there's actually nothing wrong. It's in line with vision, and I believe HRPEB will do a good job.
Asante sana, fellow George Hapisu. And thank you for putting this profession where it is right now, because you are the people who made this act. You're the people who ensure that the HR right now is visible, and we as we said, we have to recognize that people have skills, they have knowledge, they have the attitude. And if anytime you asked about anything, let's say employee resourcing, that is things that you have practiced for a whole lot. So thank you so much, the former chairman of IHRM, George Hapisu, and also the fellow of the institute. And we do not take it for granted that you've put this profession where it is. Asante sana. Dr. Oko George.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I'm CHRP, Dr. Oko George. So mine to appreciate the forum for giving us this time to air our views. So I think the only challenge that we have and the CHRPs are raising is just a matter of the implementation framework, how the RPL should be implemented. But I believe that the concept of RPL is just a perception issue, because even with the HRM-PEB, this concept have been there and it has been implemented. For instance, the exemption is one form of RPL, because if you do few units, it means that you have done those units before, and the concept of now RPL is coming in to assess those who have not done those specific units, but they have work experience. So I believe it's just a perception issue, but it is a good thing. The only challenge is that maybe the HRMPEB can package it in a way that they have a proper implementation framework to avoid watering down the profession. For instance, I believe when you go to this other sector, the way they are implementing RPL, the competences are by observation. You observe the Juakali people or the other people performing their work in the real work environment. Now, when it comes to HR-related duties, and we are aware that we are alive to the fact that we have the Data Protection Act of 2019, and some of the information or some of the roles that us as HR profession do are quite confidential, like the recruitment process, the processing of the leave, and so on. So the question is, where will this RPL be conducted? Will it be possible to collect the portfolio of evidence of what you do in your workplace without raising privacy issues? So I think that is what we need to handle in order for us not to get in conflict with the law. And maybe we can also come up with a framework to ensure that, and you know, we live in Kenya whereby sometimes people can manipulate information. We need to come up with a framework to ensure that these people that are going to be assessed, they are assessed on their workplace, and they also do those work in the real time. And maybe the last comment, they are due to the revision of the CHRP curriculum. There are some areas that have been introduced which are very important, especially areas to do with data analytics, areas to do with the project. As we do this RPL, are these areas, how will these areas be assessed? So it is also good to come up with a framework. Although you are assessed based on experience, there can also be a provision whereby you are allowed to do a project, you are allowed to do a concept or a write-up, so that we are sure that you cover this kind of the areas. So, but I believe this is a good concept based on the fact, based on the way in which it will be implemented, and also taking into consideration the privacy and the implementation framework to avoid also watering down the profession. And there is an area we said about supervision, that your supervisor sign. What if you are in consultancy whereby you are the manager or you are the sole supervisor? So those are the areas that we need to look at so that we improve this going forward. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oko. And we've taken more than 2 hours, so we are almost at the tail end. Nathaniel was our last speaker, but I can see a hand from Vanis. I don't know whether it's very urgent. We will give just the 2 of them, then we close. So Nathaniel and Vanis, you have just 2 minutes, kindly.
Thank you very much. I think first I need to appreciate the speakers who've come earlier, and also for the organization of this kind of forum, because it then helps to unravel some of the things which were not very clear. I can assure you that after this session, some of us now have a lot of clarity. Dr. Peter Wekesa has put so much into perspective, answering quite a number of questions which were disturbing, in terms of how is this thing going to be implemented, what are the best practices elsewhere. And it is beginning to give clarity to all of us. I'm sure there are a few areas where people who are still having issues with it, but the core thing of recognizing prior learning is coming out very clearly now. An example would be when you compare 24-year-old CRHP holder and a practitioner who has been there for 10, 20, 30 years. Who has contributed more, who has more experience and all that? And if this person was to be recognized, wouldn't he have an equivalent of a PhD in that area? So I think it's coming out very clearly, and this is the beauty of having sessions like this, so that we also benefit from the brains of people who've been there and people who have seen this thing from a wider perspective. I like what Dr. Wekesa also said, that on-site assessment is going to be very important, because that's another area of how do I give you documents that tell you I've been doing this. Hey, this is Kenya. I will tell you I'm doing all the things which I don't do. So that on-site assessment, I think, is coming up very well to ensure that the facts about what you've been doing and what you've gained that now gives you credence to run a CHRP are coming very clearly. So I think it's a matter of just sprucing up what is already very good, and hoping that this is going to give clarity to even, I've seen a few comments here of people are still looking at it as if it's a shortcut. Some of us thought it was, but with this, we can now see the documentation, the policy, how it's going to be implemented, and the steps that are going to be taken, and the benefits that accrue with it. It makes a lot of perfect sense. And I want to congratulate you for doing this. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, Nathaniel, for understanding also when we've put out all the information that we've put out today on how we will implement RPL and the standards we've put in place. Thank you for just going through and understanding that this is a process that has it has checks and balances, and it will be a process of integrity, and we will ensure that just those who meet the threshold, those who have that knowledge, those who have the competencies are recognized. Vanis Olal.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Mine was just, okay, first of all, I would like to appreciate the people who have spoken before me, but a few things that I would like to just talk about is first, we are talking about recognizing RPL. These are people who have been into the industry 15 plus years. The first CHRP exams was first administered in around 2017, which is like 10 years later or something. I feel like sometimes you're forcing people to get something that they're not ready to get, because the moment you're going to introduce RPL, these are people who had an opportunity to actually do CHRP exams and actually be certified before we could bring the RPL into place. But now we're bringing into the RPL so that we can be able to attract these people who are not ready to come into the industry so that they can be able to be certified. So the moment we're going to say that we need to certify these people who have been 15 years plus in the industry, how are we going to measure these experiences? George said that we need to visit them in their places of work. But when when someone is visiting someone, as a visitor, they have to clean up their houses. How are we going to make sure that the places that we're going to visit are actually the places these people are actually practicing their human resource? And which other method apart from visiting them? Are we going to administer questionnaires from the employees who these people are leading, so that you can be able to know that actually what they've been saying is what they're actually practicing? Because as far as we're going to recognize the previous experience, we also have to know that it is not just experience, because I can write on my papers that I have 15 years of experience, but how well can you be able to prove? Because I believe HR is not just about papers and experience. There's more into that than just recognizing the papers that people have. What is the measures that HRMPEB is going to put into place so that we can be able to know that the people that we're going to actually give the certification really qualifies to get this certification? Because as much as we all want to be certified, but the qualifications, that is why there were exams, there were projects and every other thing that is going on. How are we going to ensure that this is what actually is meet the standards, of meet what is expected as an HR profession? Thank you.
Thank you, Vanis, for your concern and question. Dr. Kiragu, you can answer to Vanis Olal's question.
Thank you so much, Madam CS. I want to go straight and answer that question. It has come up, and I want kindly allow me to share the document that I was presenting. For a minute, I will take a minute to clarify something.
We are giving you the host, so you can share.
Sorry. Yes. Good. I think this is where now the rubber is meeting the road. We are not just going to visit somebody at the workplace, we observe, then we give this person CHRP. This document, you kindly need to understand it. It is 169 pages. We have done all the units of CHRP from unit 1 to unit 19. And we have been guided by the existing curriculum. And I gave an example. This is learning outcome 1. This is your evidence. This is what you are supposed to provide in learning outcome 1. Like here, you are supposed to provide evidence of the trainings maybe you have attended, the interview summaries, the job description. Then you go to unit 2, the regulatory and institutional framework for human resource management. Then it gives you the performance criteria. You do a personal statement. You give your evidence, right? You give your evidence. You must give your evidence all the way to, to the last unit. So RPL, if you understand RPL, it is quite rigorous. It is quite rigorous. It is not a criteria. Then as I finish, I would say that actually we have been implementing partial RPL. Even the CHRP alumni who are in this meeting, you came and we gave you some exemptions. That was one form of RPL. We are recognizing your knowledge that you had acquired earlier. So even when I was explaining, I said that the first thing that we are going to do in RPL is look at your academic papers, then exhaust all the units you have covered in your academic papers. Then the next step now will go to workplace evidence, not just observing, but you must submit this evidence. We are also going to validate this evidence. We are going to do background check whether you are actually providing a legit kind of evidence. So it is very thorough. This is 169 pages, and we have given it a lot of thought, a lot of time, and I can assure you that RPL is quite objective. There is no shortcut. Thank you, and over to you, CS Lorena Seka.
Asante sana Daktari. I hope Vanis has been answered, and also all our other stakeholders who've given a lot of views on the chat have been answered. So I don't know whether Mr. Stanley Maindi is with us, the director of RPL at the Ministry of Education. He was to say one thing before we leave, but if he's not here, as Daktari has said, on the way forward, clearly we are going to be recruiting RPL assessors, RPL verifiers, and one of the things that we are looking out for is industry players. Those who have been in the industry now, for the fellows who are here, it will be an opportunity because we are looking at over 10 or 15 years of experience for our assessors, so that you can come in and help us assess the competencies of these candidates who want RPL. So we will be putting out an advert for assessors, verifiers, counselors, and the advert will go on, I think, next week. So when we put out the advert, we are hoping that the industry players who are here and they can assess competencies can come on. Also, after that, we will be doing a vigorous training we will be doing a vigorous training for these assessors, because they need to understand how do how will RPL be assessed? How do you know that this individual has the competency in, let's say, a unit like organizational development? How do you know that this person has a competency in employee resourcing? So after we get the assessors, the verifiers, and those who will be validating and those who will be taking through the candidates, then we will train them vigorously on how to assess. And if you look at our documents, and I've said the documents from the policy to the implementation matrix guidelines to the trainer's manual, they are on the website. We have clearly stated the number of years for you to be an assessor. We've clearly stated the number of years for you to be a counselor and also a verifier. So if you are interested in those to be a contracted professional, then you can go to our website and check on the qualifications, and we will put out an advert so that you can be able to apply. So after we have the contracted professionals, those who are helping us assess candidates, come on board, and we train them, then we will officially launch this RPL, and we will be ready to go, because this is our last exercise, stakeholder exercise. We'll be ready to go because we will have a pilot. Then we will have a pilot, and this pilot, we will take a few of the industry players just to see, because Dr. Kiragu has put out here a document of the performance metrics on what they will be checking out. If someone has employee resourcing, what will be they checking out? So on that, after we do a pilot just to see whether the tools that have been developed go in tandem with the candidates, whether they can assess the candidates' knowledge, whether they can assess the candidates' competencies, then after that, we will be good to start registering officially candidates for RPL. And many people have actually shown interest. We've been getting multiple people to come on board, and they are telling us, we can't wait for you to start this RPL. So before we go, Mr. Maindi is here, and is the director of RPL in the whole country under Ministry of Education. Mr. Maindi, kindly, you can just unmute and say a few things about RPL before we close the meeting. Mr. Stanley Maindi?
Yes.
Yes, just a few, we wanted you to say a few things. And as I've said, Mr. Maindi is the director of RPL Delivery Division under the Ministry of Education. And he has been championing this the whole country. And he can just tell us what has been his experience, how is the reception, what can we do better. Just 5 minutes, Mr. Maindi, kindly, for our stakeholders to be assured that this is not a shortcut, but it's a pathway where people. Mr. Maindi?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Lauren and members. I'm happy to join you in this very important meeting and an important occasion that is a milestone in the journey of HRMBEP in terms of implementation of RPL. As you are aware, this is a countrywide initiative that is being driven by the top government institutions, and is one of the focus elements, components of our government in identifying that learning, the knowledge that has been acquired outside the formal school system yet it is quite critical in the implementation and in driving our economy. And so that led to the establishment of the RPL Delivery Unit under the State Department for TVET, just oversee the implementation of recognition of prior learning across the country, across all sectors of the economy, across all professional and occupational areas. And that's what we are currently doing. And the implementation is on the first lane, where we have been building capacity of practitioners, and then we have commenced assessment. So far, there are various institutions, mostly within the TVET sector, are already assessing and implementing RPL and certifying them. And the certification is just as same value as the certificates that we attain through the formal system. And I want to congratulate HRMBEB because they have led by example. They have done very well from the time the process of developing the policies and execution instruments started. HRMBEB has been a model institution in terms of developing the relevant instruments. And I'm happy to note that you are at the tail end of now rollout, where development of the assessment tools, very critical, that are quite critical in the assessment of prior learning. And as you may know, this is one of the highest elements of quality assurance component that will ensure that the quality of the qualifications you award are of the highest standards, they meet the national standards, and they are internationally acceptable. So mine is just to congratulate the HRMBEB management team led by the CEO, Margaret, and your team for what you've done. And I want to assure our stakeholders that HRMBEB has followed the policy to the law and the standards that have been exhibited right from the development of the instruments up to the validation. You have had the highest stakeholder validation meetings up to today, and that is credit to you. And we look forward to now moving to the next step to identify the people who have competences, especially in the human resource field, and assess and certify them. And that certification is a national certificate that is acceptable nationally and internationally. And I know the outcomes of the assessment will be recorded in the national database of qualifications awarded. So I want to wish you well as you continue with this meeting, and rest assured that the Directorate of the RPA Delivery Unit will be always available to offer you the necessary technical support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stanley Maindi, who is the director of RPL Delivery Unit. That is the whole country, and they've been massively rolling out RPL in polytechnics, technical institutions, and even exam bodies like HRMPEB. So asante sana, Mr. Maindi, for walking the journey with us and supporting us through the Ministry of Education, and we appreciate. And anytime we would like your advice, will be coming through with it. So asante sana, Mr. Maindi. So to finish our program, I'll call our manager exams admin, Mr. Abed, to give a vote of thanks on behalf of the CEO, and also just to assure our stakeholders that this is a process that will go on with all integrity. Mr. Abed?
Right, thank you, CS Lorena Seka, for guiding us well in this meeting. Yeah, my name is Abed Chalo, the Manager Examinations Department at HRMPEB. So I want to take this opportunity on behalf of our COO, who would not be with us today due to other official engagements, to first of all, thank all the contributors, all the stakeholders for coming in and finding time even to share their insights Thank you to representatives from KenQA, Dr. Peter Wekesa, Tiveta. Thank you, Yanis, for joining our training institution, industry players. Another good insight and invaluable insights we have gotten from Stanley, Minty, fellows of HR like Ignat Odonti, Georgia Pisu, and also CHRP Den and Nathaniel. So I want to believe the issues raised by Vanis were well responded to by Dr. Kiragu, who again has excellently taken us through this recognition for prior learning policy. Thank you again, Dr. Oko George, for your sentiments. So I want again to just give an assurance that it will not be in any way a way to water down the gains that have already been made in the HR profession. Every time we as a HRMP look to ways of making our profession better, just as Georgia Pisu has articulated, that he is actually happy to see the gains that have been made over the years since the time the Act was put in place. And so it is our intention to continue improving, and we will improve through stakeholder engagement and through picking opinions. Even sometimes, even the dissenting opinions are also considered because they also tell us where there could be flaws or where members feel that we can do better. So all opinions count, and we consider all as we move forward. So I want to assure you again that this will be done with objectivity. There will be no favor or even biasness in implementing this policy. And as you can see from the evaluation tool that has just been presented, actually it is watertight. It addresses all the concerns that have been raised in previous meetings, because this has been a journey up to where we are today. And Dr. Kirago has put it very well, that indeed much has been done up to this point. So you can take your time, try to relook at the policy again, try to go through, understand it, as even we move to the next stage. I want to assure you that there will be a proper implementation framework that will ensure, like one of the presenters said, that the profession or the gains that have been made in the profession are not watered down. So thank you again, Lorena Seka, for putting this together. And I want to believe it has been very fruitful. And we would say now that Dr. Kirago will move us to the next phase. And wherever we need your engagements, your invaluable inputs, we are going to ask of you to join us in such forums so that we can also get to hear from you. So we are grateful to have you and to have great minds giving us insights, because this is our profession and it is not HRMP doing it. It is all of us working together so that we can make our profession better day after another. So I want to end at that point and appreciate all of you for joining. Thank you to all the stakeholders. I believe when we call you again for the next phase, you will also be available and you're going to work with us. Thank you and have yourself a good afternoon. I think
Good
I can
afternoon.
say,
Yes, you can pray. And
yes.
as CHRP Abed prays, kindly those who are interested in being examined or being assessed, everything else, you can put your email addresses on the chat. We will pick them and we will communicate on anything to do with the RPL. Kindly, you can put your email addresses on the chat box. We will be reaching out on everything to do with RPL, be it registration, be it assessors, be it any trainings that we'll be doing. Just put your emails, we will be reaching out. CHRP Abed, you can go ahead and pray.
Thank you. Thank you, Lorraine. So we can bow for a word of prayer. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this far that you brought us. We thank you for giving us even a good moment to have discussion on RPL. I thank you for all the contributors, for all our stakeholders who have even found time to join us today. We thank you for the Father that you've taken us as even we move to the next phase. We seek and pray for your guidance. We give you glory and we honor you. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for the gift of good health. I pray that, Father, you will even guide us as we move on, even from this point onwards. We give you glory and we honor you for the rest of the day. Be with us, guard over us, and protect us. In Jesus' name, we do pray. Amen. If you can say amen,
Amen.
wherever you are,
Amen.
you can say it.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Asante sana. And you can live on your own pleasure. Asante for coming. We appreciate. And those who are interested in RPL, whether being a candidate or a contracted professional, kindly put your emails. We will be communicating on the way forward. Asanteni sana.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Georgia. Peace. Thank you.